seconds and counting. 25 seconds and counting. We are still go. 20 seconds. Guidance alert. The guidance system now going internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening to viewers in Africa and Europe. Good afternoon to the majority of the viewers anyway in the Western Hemisphere. Good very early morning to viewers in the Pacific Rim, and welcome to the Angry Astronaut, a very special live stream. We have a huge crowd watching already, and for good reason, because we are going to be unleashing some very rare UFO footage on you folks today. And the reason it's so rare is because this was in the CIA files in the U.S. National Archives, and this stuff had never been digitized. And with your help, I made my way to the National Archives in order to get a hold of this stuff, and it was truly a remarkable experience. So let's go ahead and first of all, where's people checking in from? We have Belgium checking in. Robert, thank you so much for your generosity. Anton Nim, thank you so much, and happy Memorial Day back to you. And we have a bank holiday going on here in the UK, where I am again. So that's awesome. And yes, indeed, James, it is the wet and rainy UK. It started getting rainy pretty much right in time for me to come back. Hello, Colorado. Really appreciate you checking in. Hello, 4 Marks. South Africa, really appreciate you checking in. Denmark also, in Nottinghamshire. Hello, Barcelona. Thank you very much for being here today. In India, Australia, Bangor, Smegville, and Sheffield. I'm sorry, go ahead. We got Germany on the shorts, on the vertical. We got Spain also on the shorts. We have Vail, Colorado, and Seattle. We've got California and North Carolina, Seattle, Sweden, Texas. We got Gainesville checking in on the shorts. Somerset, UK, another UK, Boston, Massachusetts, Oregon, Croatia, Dallas, Texas. John, thank you so much for the tenor. Really appreciate your support. Griffin, Georgia, and Vail, Steamboat Springs. Hello, Sweden and Canada checking in. Connecticut and Pittsburgh. We also have Milan. Boy, it's just zooming by. So many people. San Diego, Montana, and this, of course, is what I expected, because this is definitely a big time live stream. Hello, Sweden and Windsor, Connecticut, Ireland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Hampshire, UK, Nottingham, Milwaukee. Carl Hughes, thank you. Carl Hughes, thank you so much for the $5. Really appreciate it. Oklahoma and Denmark, Cape Cod. We got Italy, Manchester, all over, Tucson, Alpha Centauri, Central New Jersey. Hull and Burnley, is that right? And Hull and Burnley. And then North London, Christchurch, Atlanta, another UK, Deutschland, and we also have Brazil. Angel Eyes, thank you so much for your generous support in Calgary. We also have Eastern Oregon and Kenya and Shetland, all over the place. Wow, and over 300 people watching. That's just on the horizontal side. Then we have the folks on the vertical So there's 68 people watching on the vertical side, so over 450 people watching already, or about 440. Nevertheless, huge crowd. So not gonna make you guys wait for too much longer. Just again, real quick, as to what you're gonna be looking at. I really regard a lot of the older UFO footage as being more legitimate. Not to say that the new stuff can't be legitimate, but in this day and age when it is so easy to fake things, where we have so many drones flying around, we have so many satellites in orbit, there are so many things that can be misidentified as UFOs. It requires an enormous amount of effort in this day and age in order to try to filter out all the stuff that's either mundane or fake. Whereas stuff back in 1954, which is where this comes from, it's a lot more difficult. Now, once again, just to give you guys a heads up, this is not going to be a super spectacular, detailed UFOs, at 50 feet away or anything like that. The CIA, if the CIA had stuff like that, they wouldn't let us see it. But what it is quite remarkable. And instead of trying to explain that to you myself, we're going to go ahead and run this footage. We're going to start off by just showing you the plain old footage to begin with, which, by the way, Patreon folks have been seeing on kind of a side-by-side comparison. So bear with us here as we get this spooled up, and we're going to go ahead and show you the raw footage from the files that I managed to get unlocked. Bear with us here. We're getting it spooled up right now. Producer, a long-suffering producer, is going to get this running here in just a second. Right, he's setting it up to where I'll be visible in the top left. And so now, once again, drum roll. We got some. There we go. Here we go, guys. So bear with us because there's a lot of introduction here before we actually start seeing the footage, but it's very, very interesting stuff, to say the least. All right, so here we go. Once again, there's no audio with this. So a little bit of background. First of all, here, this is Montana and Utah footage. And you can, of course, read the background to it. And we're talking about objects that are moving against the wind. And then the Utah stuff is truly amazing. 7 to 16 objects in this one. And as you can see, this stuff was examined in detail by experts at the Patterson Air Force Base. And we see the conclusions that the Patterson Air Force Base came to, or the Patterson Air Force Base experts came to, on what was filmed. So these are definitely objects in flight, and quite a number of them. And again, flying against the wind. So not weather balloons, not birds flying too fast to be birds. And also just, we're looking more at orb type UFOs in this footage than anything else. And then we're going to compare this to some orbs that have been filmed in much more recent times. Yes, projectionist. All right, now we're going to get a lot of different shots of these two objects. It's not just going to be from far away. We lock in on them as well. These two lights following one another. Once again, not aircraft, not satellites, because there were no satellites in 1954. Keep that in mind. Sputnik went up in 1957. That's what this looks like to me, though, are two satellites chasing one another in low Earth orbit. But again, no satellites back at this time. And we keep getting more and more close-ups. So slow down the footage and give us some freeze frame images here and there. Just, and again, the CIA regarded this as being significant enough to lock away in their archives for 70 years. And again, they keep giving us more and more views of it. Well, SR-71s were not flying in 1954. SR-71s first came into service in the 1960s. And right. Why would the CIA lock up footage of a CIA test or a military intelligence test? All right. So once again, now what we're going to be looking at is a large swarm of these objects. And again, at several times as we're watching this footage, they zoom in on it. They also enhance the objects. Look at all of those. I mean, just astonishing how many. And once again, these objects were analyzed by experts at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Just absolutely stunning. And then they give us some freeze frame images as well. Quite a number of these objects. Again, this is something that I haven't seen this many orbs maneuvering around in footage these days. It's really unusual to get this many objects, this many orbs in a single piece of footage. Truly remarkable stuff. Don't worry, guys. We're going to go ahead and show this to you again and going to do a comparison with a team that's been operating in Long Island lately. And they've been filming their own orbs in the past couple of years. Looks like swamp gas. I love it. Again, just swarms of these things. And what is very interesting is that at the same time, groups of objects like this showed up in the Mount Palomar plates in the 1950s also. And that's something that Dr. Beatriz Villarol researched recently. I mean, it's very interesting that we've got a similar number of objects that are showing up in atmospheric, again, maybe an atmospheric flight here. Who knows? These things might have been in orbit. But just huge swarms of these things. And once again, if they were in space, there was no satellites at this time, 3 years before Sputnik 1. We've got almost 800 people. Okay, guys. So here we go. Just real quick, I want to give you guys I'll just unload it now. I'm giving away a piece of merchandise to one random super chat supporter. We've had a few super chats already fly across the screen here. I'm giving out, I'm currently wearing a shirt, by the way, here. I'm giving out one piece of merchandise to one random super chat supporter here. So anybody who wants to put that out, and I'm also announcing two more winners from the Patreon, from Patreon supporters. So once again, then we have the footage being reviewed here again, and then we're going to show this to you again, except we are going to do this side by side with more modern footage of orbs that were filmed by the Nightcrawler organization and the work that they've done in Long Island. So we can maybe show you a little bit of comparison here. What I find to be interesting is the context. For those of you saying you may have seen this footage before, I've seen tiny clips, like a few seconds of this stuff. But what I haven't seen is the context and under what circumstances this was filmed. So let's go ahead and have a look. And once again, can we put the other footage up on screen as well, producer? The old footage, and yeah, let's put the old footage and the newer stuff. Maybe a little difficult for everybody to see this. We're going to have a look. Again, you see this little swarm of orbs that was filmed. Thank you very much, Cartoon Maps, for your support. And you've just been tossed into the drawing for a piece of merchandise today. It will be a shirt, and you'll be able to choose which one you want. Okay, so right now, producer has the new footage frozen at the moment. Then let's go ahead and by the way, there are a few of you probably that have seen this before. I have no doubt that I'm not the first person who went to the National Archives to dig this stuff up. But one thing I can say is I have looked at a lot of UFO footage and I've never seen this film. So it was quite fascinating indeed. The year of the footage was 1954. Again, before Sputnik, before a lot of the more advanced and sophisticated test aircraft that we have these days. So we'll go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison here with the orbs that have the upper left image. That's the modern stuff. You can see that they're using LiDAR here to tag the orbs in this particular footage. Then we'll go ahead and show the other footage. But yeah, once again, so many different things that could be an explanation for orb UFOs. Again, you're seeing a lot of similarity here. Now, again, if I had seen these, again, we're looking at the bottom right here. If I had seen these objects before, I would have sworn that these were two satellites. Right. Right. So you're seeing IR technology, but again, a lot of similarity here, guys, with these objects that were filmed again using IR cameras. for this particular footage in the top left by the Nightcrawler folks just a couple of years ago. More like I think 18 months ago that they got all this. But again, look at this. I mean, we got orbs on the top left and we got orbs on the bottom right. And again, very, very similar. And again, remarkable that the CIA decided to put this into their files. And once again, none of this was digitized. I had to go to the archives and get this stuff downloaded onto a thumb drive to even get access to it. And again, that happened because of you folks. So I really, really appreciate it. So once again, on the top left, you've got modern. All right. Dave, thank you so much for the 20 quid. Really, really appreciate it. Your first super chat on a live stream. You are entered into the drawing. And David, thank you so much. Once again, I will be giving away. And I'm sure some people have seen this. This is 70-year-old footage. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure some people have seen it. The thing of it is, I had never seen it before when I dredged this stuff out. And I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the people who have been, who are watching today have also never seen this. So, but yeah, believe me, I'm not claiming that I'm the only person who has gone to the National Archives and dredged this stuff up, but it's quite fascinating. Especially the large swarms of objects in the latter part of the footage. That's fascinating indeed. Again, keep in mind 1954 for the images on the bottom right. So many things that we have today, so many mundane explanations. That simply do not apply to objects like this, which again is why the Wright-Patterson analysts could not explain what was being observed. But just fascinating. By the way, this is not the only thing I have to show or for you folks to listen to, or the only piece of content. I'm also going to play something for you here in just a bit when I get a moment. And I think you'll find this intriguing as well. We live in a world, and we'll wait for this to get going here. Once again, keep up, David. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it, David. Yeah, I figured that the vast majority of people watching today would not have seen this stuff. So, David, appreciate your support, and you are also entered into the drawing for merchandise today. So I'm going to go ahead and once we're finished running these images, what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and run the footage one more time. And during that time, I also have a piece of audio footage that I found at the archives. I can prove that the footage is from the 1950s because there's a National Archives file for the footage. I'll go ahead and put that link to the National Archives file reference into the description so that you guys can see it. Of course, you won't be able to pull up the footage because you'll get an error message saying that this footage is not online. This content is not online, which is, again, the reason why I went to the archives, because I had no idea what I was going to find when I showed up. So very, very interesting indeed. So, and again, the reason that 1954 is significant is because there's so many ways that footage these days can be faked. It's very, very challenging to tell the difference between CGI stuff or drones, that sort of thing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and queue up the old footage one more time. And while we're doing that, I am also going to play a portion of a 1950 news report. Keep in mind, this was 3 years after the first ever UFO report was made. Edward R. Murrow, which many of you may be familiar with that name, quite famous for his coverage of the Battle of Britain, bringing a human context to the Battle of Britain in 1940. Edward R. Murrow is the narrator here. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. And we're going to queue up the old footage so that you guys, if you haven't seen it again, you can go ahead and watch it while I'm playing this. But very interesting here because it's got testimony from people who I've never heard testimony from before, people who some of the first people who saw UFOs in 1947 and after. Okay, bear with me for a moment here. I apologize. Bear with me here, guys. I'm attempting to queue this up. It's going to take me a moment. Bear with me. I think I'm going to have to reboot because I have my audio piped into so many different places. Bear with me, guys. I got this stored on my cell phone here.
For the past 3 years, a large number of perfectly sane and reliable people have been involved in this flying saucer business. Even those of us who have never seen one have become involved. We read about them, talk about them, wonder about these reports of strange phenomena in the skies. So almost from the start, CBS has been following the story. We have been collecting material on flying saucer observations for many months, checking, cross-checking, trying to track down leads, no matter how far afield they took us. This, tonight, is our report. We frankly admit that we don't know whether flying saucers actually exist. We've never seen one. We are going to bring you the facts at hand. What they add up to, well, that's for you to decide. That's up to you. It all began just a little less than 3 full years ago. It began in the sky over western Washington, up there in the hip pocket of the country. Early one June morning in 1947, a C-46 Marine transport with 32 Marines aboard crashed in the vicinity of Mount Rainier. An air search was immediately organized to locate the downed plane. Among the many service and private flyers who participated in this search was Mr. Kenneth Arnold, a businessman of Boise, Idaho, a veteran pilot in forest fire control work, a man with 6 years' experience flying over the rugged terrain in and around Mount Rainier. Yesterday morning, we spoke to Mr. Arnold over the phone.
Real quick, guys, just so you know what you're listening to, this is a CBS report from 1950 when all of this was very, very new. And this is actually Edward R. Murrow. This is not Paul Harvey, who's from a much later time. This is Edward R. Murrow, who became quite famous for his coverage of the Battle of Britain and other World War II events.
We asked him to repeat for us, in his own words, what he saw in the sky over Mount Rainier on June 24th, 1947. We recorded what he said, and we're going to play it for you now. The slight beep that you will hear intermittently is required by law to let both parties of a phone conversation know they are being recorded. Here now is Mr. Kenneth Arnold.
It was while I was searching for this crash that I noticed a terrific blue flash pass the nose of my airplane. I noticed that the flash changed from a chain of very peculiar-looking objects that were rapidly approaching mountain air at about 107 degrees. This chain of objects were 9 in number. I assumed at the time they were a new formation or a new type of jet, though I was baffled by the fact that they did not have any tails. It passed almost directly in front of me, but at a distance of about 23 miles, which is not very great in the air. I judged their wingspan to be at least 100 feet across. The sighting did not particularly disturb me at the time, except that I had never seen planes of that type.
Mr. Arnold, after landing, made a routine report of what he had seen to a Civil Aeronautics Administration representative. Promptly forgot the matter. Until the wheels of publicity began to turn. The floodgates opened.
I never could understand at that time why the world got so upset about this. These things didn't seem to be a menace. I believe they had something to do with our Army and Air Force.
On 3 different occasions, Mr. Arnold was questioned by military intelligence. They expressed doubt as to the accuracy of some of his reported observations.
That's right. Now, of course, some of the reports they did take from newspapers which did not quote me properly. Now, when I told the press, they misquoted me, and in the excitement of it all, one newspaper and another one got it so snarled up that nobody knew just exactly what they were talking about, I guess.
Here's how the name Flying Saucer was born.
These objects more or less fluttered like they were, I'd say boats on very rough water or very rough air of some type. And when I described how they flew, I said that they flew like you take a saucer and throw it across the water. Most of the newspapers misunderstood and misquoted that too. They said that I said that they were saucer-like. I said they flew in a saucer-like fashion.
That was an historic misquote. While Mr. Arnold's original explanation has been forgotten, the term flying saucer has become a household word. Few people realize that Mr. Arnold has reported seeing these same strange objects in the sky on 3 other occasions. He says that some pilots in the Northwest have reported seeing them on 8 separate occasions. We asked for his own personal opinion on the nature of what he and the others had seen.
I don't know how best to explain that. I more or less have reserved an opinion as to what I think. Naturally, being a natural-born American, if it's not made by our science or our Army Air Forces, I'm inclined to believe that it's of an extraterrestrial origin.
Extraterrestrial origin? You mean you think there's a possibility they may be coming out of space from other planets? I suppose that's pretty hard for people to take seriously.
Well, I'll tell you this much. All the airline pilots, none of us have appreciated being laughed at. We made our reports essentially to begin with because we thought that if our government didn't know what it was only our duty to report it to our nation and to our Air Force out of it. I think it's something that is of concern to every person in the country. And I don't think it's anything for people to get hysterical about. Now, that's just my frank opinion of it.
So that's how it all began. That was the trigger action.
So that is a small portion of about a half-hour CBS News report from 1950. Again, 3 years after Kenneth Arnold made his historic flight and historic sighting. And it's interesting to note that the whole term flying saucer actually came from his description of how the vehicles moved, not what they were shaped like. He states very clearly in this interview that these weren't saucer-shaped objects, but rather objects that skipped along like saucers skipping across a pond, which is an interesting distinction. By the way, this is one of quite a number of interviews that take place during or that are carried out during this particular piece of this particular CBS News report. And by the way, for those of you still wondering, I've seen some questions. Did I get to the National Archives? Yes, this is where I got this stuff. Dylan, thank you so much for your support. You also are entered into our random drawing so bear with me for just one moment here because we were going to announce 2 winners of merch. Hello, David. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And happy Memorial Day to all the Americans who are, of course, celebrating this holiday today. Bear with me for just a second here. Okay. And just so you know, our volunteers and also producer is keeping up with all of these super chats so that we can give all of this out. So keep in mind, also on this in this CBS News report, there is our details of a P-51 flight that was sent to intercept a UFO, a silver. Again, more of a saucer-shaped object, but apparently very large, according to the pilots. And the leader of the flight pursued them to high altitude, and there was no supplemental oxygen available in that P-51, and so they ran out of oxygen. This was a pretty famous event where the pilot plunged to his death. Thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate that. And by the way, what you were listening to, and again, I didn't play the entire thing because it'd be a difficult thing to fit into a single broadcast, but I'm going to have it available on our Discord server for those who are interested in listening to the whole thing. That particular news report was on audio tape, ancient audio tape, really ancient audio tape. As a matter of fact, I was a bit worried that it might snap or fall apart as I was we were using equipment to download the audio onto the thumb drive that I had brought to the National Archives. So yeah, very, very interesting. When do you think we'll have humans back on the moon? Will we be the first back there? I think we'll be back on the moon at the latest by 2030. Will we beat the Chinese to the moon? I don't know. I think we're going to have to work very, very hard to make that happen because China is moving very quickly and very aggressively. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and announce first, I'm going to go ahead and announce 2 winners of merchandise from our Patreon supporters. And just so you know, I'll be giving out 2 more of these merch awards next month. So this is a thank you to the folks who made all of this possible, because the vast majority of people who supported my trip out to the archives, well, these were Patreon supporters. So the 2 winners from the Patreon folks are Neil Blaymyers. Once again, Neil Blaymyers. Winner number 2 is Owen Campbell Moore. Once again, that's Owen Campbell Moore. And I will be making a posting on YouTube as well, just in case these folks are not on this broadcast, so that they can get their merchandise. And of course, we'll need size and addresses, that sort of thing. As long as you're located in Europe or somewhere in North America, I'll be able to cover the shipping. If you're in a much more remote area of the world compared to where I currently am, then I may need a little help on the shipping side of things. But in any event, those are our 2 Patreon winners. Now we're going to go ahead and announce our winner from the super chats. So we can go ahead and get a. Yep. So here we are, guys. Drum roll, everybody. And once again, this is from the people who have made super chats in this broadcast. So thank you so much, folks, for all of your support during this broadcast. Once again, we'll be giving out a shirt. You can choose either Told You UFOs Were Real, the alien shirt, or an asteroid shirt. In 2029, kiss your asteroids goodbye. It'll be one of those two. My email is in the description, so make sure to reach out to me. All right, let's go ahead. Drum roll. Who's the winner, producer? All right, just dystopian. Go ahead. Let's go. Who's our winner? All right, so our winner. All right, so that's our winner number one today. Super chat winner number one is Dylan Townsend. Dylan Townsend. So yep. We've got the email linked all over this video and also in the description. Dylan, if you want this piece of merchandise, just go ahead and email me your information. Winner number two, Dystopian. Once again, this is from the folks who have made super chats in this broadcast. Angel Eyes is our number two winner. Congratulations, folks, and thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate that. And once again, keep in mind, folks, that in addition to these winners today, I'm giving out two more pieces of merchandise next month, and one will go to a Patreon supporter, one will go to a super chat supporter. So, and that's any super chats that we receive between now and when we go ahead and do the next drawing, which will be on the 26th of next month. So if you didn't win today, you'll have another chance. Don't worry, because I have a lot of merchandise to give out, and that's courtesy of the folks at Sunline. They sent me piles and piles of sample merchandise. They are the most fantastic merch company in the world. Ellie in Space, for those of you familiar with Ellie, she uses them as well. And let me tell you something, they are top notch for this sort of thing. And by the way, they also do the merchandise for SpaceX at Starbase. So once again, congratulations, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this footage. And of course, all this is being recorded. So if you didn't see it, you'll get another opportunity to see it once the recorded version of this comes out. And then if you want to see the entire raw footage, that is also available in our Patreon library. But nevertheless, wanted to make sure that everybody got an opportunity to see this stuff. Again, a few people have seen this before. I'm not the first person, I'm sure, that dug into the National Archives to find this stuff, but I sure have never seen it before. And I was blown away, and I continue to be blown away by all of this evidence that we had in the 1950s before we even come anywhere close to the kind of evidence that we have today. And in my opinion, nothing else can be said than there is something going on in our skies. I believe our government has always known a lot more about it than they're revealing, and it's time to get a little bit more transparency. Thanks very much for watching, folks, and until next time, stay angry about space.